Hi everyone, and welcome to our live webinar. Today's webinar is all about warming up, not in the summer sun, but in the world of deliverability. Our speakers are today Stéphane, Laurent, and my colleague Sandra, who will introduce themselves in just a moment. Just a short introduction to myself. My name is Maike and I'm the marketing and the event manager at the CSA. And I'm here for your support during the webinar. If you have questions, just send them to me. I will answer all questions regarding the technical things, and the content part will answer our speakers today. And maybe you know the CSA. I think you all know us, but maybe not. Our goal is to increase the quality of commercial emailing, and we act as a neutral interface between mailbox providers and senders of commercial emailing. If you want to get more information about our daily work, how we can support your business, or about our CSA certification monitor, just ask us after the webinar and we will get back to you and give you further information. And we have supporters during the whole year, and I want to say thank you to DMAC Advisor, Dimash, Harlan, and Spam House for their support during the live webinars and everything we do in the year. And if you want to get more information about one of them or all of them, just download the supporters booklet. It might be on the right on your screen, and get the contact infos about the companies and contact them directly. And yes, we have some housekeeping rules, very short and simple. Please note that you're muted during the whole webinar. The questions will be answered during the webinar and at the end. And if you have questions, just use the chat function. It might be on the right on in the control panel. Ask your questions, send them to organizer, and we will be happy to answer all your questions. And now, with that, I will hand over to my colleague Sandra, and I hope you enjoy all the session and see you later.
Well, thank you very much, Maike. And Maike will help us to move the slides around. So don't be worried if I just ask her to move on the slides. So we here can concentrate on the speaking. Hello and bienvenue to our webinar, and thank you for joining us today. We are here sitting together in lovely and sunny Paris. Not that we see much of the sun here, but it is outside very sunny, very warm. Today's topic is crucial for any sender starting sending from an IP or a new domain for whatever reason. And one thing to keep in mind is that mailbox provider, they always try to protect as much as they can their users. And so when a new sender knocks on the door without having any history or without being known, they are looking for signs of trust. And as in real life, the first impression always counts. So you have to make sure you're not getting it wrong. So the session today is all about hands-on sharing experience and how to build this kind of trust and reputation. What does work, what does not, and what is absolutely to avoid. I am joined here today by two experts from different perspectives, one from the receiver side, filter side, and one from the sender side. So before we dive into the content, Laurent and Stéphane, would you please be so kind and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your background?
I go. Hello, I'm Stéphane Decamps. I work for security, formerly VAID, as head of anti-abuse. I'm very involved in email marketing topics, so while identifying the ESP, making sure that it's mainly the reputation mechanisms that regulate them, making sure that these reputation mechanisms are working well. I'm also take action against senders who try to bypass them, and I'm in charge of exchanging with senders who complain about to be supposedly wrongly blocked, and of steering the market in the right direction. I've been doing this for 9 years now, and before that I worked for 8 years at an ESP, at the ISP, not ESP, where I manage deliverability.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us. A bit about me. I'm Laurent, an expert in email deliverability and data privacy. I have 24 years of experience at leading French ESP with worldwide customers. I think I have seen all the evolution of deliverability. And it's still evolved today.
Yeah.
That's why it's interesting. I founded my own consultancy, Ekushita. It's a Basque word, not French, Basque word, the Basque country in France. And it means to be seen in English. And I am also engaged in the French email ecosystem, actively participating in organizations like the Digital Alliance, English, where I manage a working group about deliverability, Signal Spawn, kind of a French CSA, and the Email Marketing Day, a French event on 2 days every year in France.
Thank you. So I'm Sandra. I'm from the Certified Sender Alliance, and I am client manager, but in my former life, I used to be also for several years an email marketing consultant. Joe, okay, so before we go over into the discussion, just a quick overview of what we will cover today. So of course, we will start off the important questions: why a sender should care about warming up an IP or a domain, what kind of role sender reputation plays in the warm-up, and then we will also focus on what kind of role is has the list quality and the user engagement. Then, of course, the technical foundations, the how to get ready part, very important, and then warm up in practice, the do's, the don'ts, and then also the things absolutely to avoid. And at the end, we have a Q&A session where you can send us your questions and we will try to answer them. Okay, Michael, next slide, please. Okay. So first fundamental question, why does it even matter warming up an IP and a domain, and why shouldn't we do just as business as usual?
Yeah, when you start with a new domain or a brand new IP, you are essentially a stranger to mailbox providers, because they don't know you. You have no reputation. Okay, so in the email world, no reputation means it's a very risky place to be. Without a gradual warm-up, your emails are likely to be flagged as spam or blocked entirely. The goal of warm-up is to build trust with the mailbox providers by sending emails slowly and strategically. And if you skip this process, it can lead to high bounces rates, spam complaints, and even more blacklisting. In today's environment, where spam filters are more and more sophisticated, we'll speak later about AI and the role of AI in the spam filters. But and also mailbox providers are in a constant battle against malicious emails. So what isn't optional, it's essential.
Yeah, I can only agree about this. So let's just focus on your point of view from the other side, the receiver side, Stéphane.
Yeah, and Laurent start to talk about what I think, because we start talking about the impact of on the sender side of doing its warm-up properly. But before we go any further, it's also important to keep in mind why filters are so demanding on warm-up. And it's not just to make your life more complicated. The fact is, the vast majority of what is new is malicious. And by malicious, I mean emails with malicious activity, like phishing, for example, but also marketing that will try to get around the bad reputation measure by simply changing its domain. And believe me, I see them every day with thousands of new domains to replace those from the previous day. And for me also, it's a way of protecting legitimate emails from imitations. requiring that the network has been trusted before sending a lot of emails. That limits the risk that this new network will in fact be used for phishing, which may imitate your own brand, maybe. The warm-up helps you show progressively to filters that your message are appreciated and that you are who you claim to be.
Yeah, I think, just next slide, please, Maike. For email marketers, the topic of reputation is a well-known subject. And we know also about the impact, positively and negatively, it can have on the performance of an email program of emails. But I think it's a good thing to redefine what actually defines a sender reputation and what kind of factors will influence also a bad or a positive reputation.
Yeah, what could I say? That sender reputation is like your credit score in the email world, you know. And it's a score assigned by mailbox providers based on several factors. First, the bounce rates, the spam complaints rates, which is very important, and also very important, the user engagement, like opens, click, and for some providers, forward print is good, positive signals. Providers also monitor your sending patterns, the quality of your email list, and again, it's very important, and whether you have set your proper authentication. We'll speak about authentication more precisely later. I think that a strong reputation means your email are more likely to reach the inbox, and a poor one, in a poor reputation, your emails could end up in spam or worse, or be blocked entirely. During warm-up, you are starting from scratch, so every action counts. When you start warming up a new IP or a new domain, you are at ground zero, no reputation, good or bad. In some cases, this could be easier to start with a slightly bad reputation than no reputation at all, but in very rare some cases. So just to say that every single negative action, like a spam report, and especially a spam report, can have an outsized impact.
Okay, so just can I come back to the information about sometimes it can be helpful starting with a kind of very, very tiny negative reputation. So I guess that means that, I mean, it could be something, for example, you have the same, you're a brand and you have different domains or programs already installed, maybe not the same email stream, but it's still, you have control over the content which has been sent before.
It's a domain from the organization, it's an IP that you already use. Sometimes,
yeah, so it shouldn't be something, I mean, it will, I guess, very negatively impact maybe when you have no idea about what has been sent before. So I think, yeah, you agree, I guess, on this. Mikey, can you please? Thank you. So you already touched on the subject that mailbox providers and filters, you look out for specific signals, anomalies, something which is new, something which hasn't been seen before, or any change of a situation from a sender. And this is basically then the escalation for taking this decision if you, as a mailbox provider or a filter, will trust the sender and let them in, and then also delivering into inbox or spam folder, or absolutely not trust and push back because there was not enough trust signals. So we also know in the old days, especially, the focus was very on the IP, and you already touched on this, Laurent. The ecosystem has completely changed and is still changing every single day, and we learn and we need to adapt. So Stéphane, what is your view on the situation today? What are the important things to be seen as a trustworthy sender? What would you say, what is really the game changer for being seen as trustworthy.
Yeah, about warm-up, we often talk about IPs and or domains and things of the protocoler, IPs and domains used to send the message. But very often senders forget or just don't know that we are talking about all the elements we can find that can be found in an email. In concrete terms, one of the main characteristics of our filter at Hornetsecurity is that we extract everything we can find in every email submitted to us. So the sending network indeed, but also other IPs that may appear in the headers from receipts from before the final send, domains found in image or URL, email addresses, etc., even a telephone number or a random ad integrated by an external platform. And for each of these elements, we calculate a reputation. And one thing is important is when there is a reputation, there is a need for warm-up.
So I have a question now for what kind of role of the reputation plays, especially for a new IP or domain. Mikey, can you just please? Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's me.
It's you.
As previously mentioned, starting a warm-up means starting to build a reputation from scratch. Obviously, the slightest spam report on a small volume of email sent converted into a rate will quickly have a significant negative impact on this reputation. I always tell you to only send messages to people who appreciate them, but this is even truer during the warm-up. You really need to build your reputation on your ultra-active recipient contacts. Also, we extract all the elements we find in an email and we build a reputation on them. So this means that the reputation of each of these elements can impact your deliverability. So it's essential that you have control over the reputations. To do this, I think the fewer the better. So host your image and your URL on the same domain as the from. Don't leave useless receive in your headers that may contain additional IPs. And in the case of a random advertising from an external agency, if you do this, you will be assuming the reputation of this advertising basis of other emails sent by other senders. So work with serious and trusted partners also. If you don't have the control over the reputation of certain elements, just avoid using them. I will add one more argument is we also build a reputation on the combination of the from domain and the IP range. And if this reputation is good, we are confident about the sender, and this avoids some mechanisms. So it's therefore in your interest to use a small number of domains and IP in order to build up a good reputation more easily.
So when you talk about numbers and IPs, so I guess we can also say that the more IPs you use for little traffic, it's not really a positive signal in your eyes. So, but senders, I think senders need really to think about the configuration, what kind of IP number they use.
Yeah.
Or does it really matter, or is it just?
No, the more IP you have, the more it's difficult to warm up them. And for us, we also have some mechanisms, again, snowshoe campaigns. So the more IP you use for a campaign, the more suspicious it's for us.
Okay, and we can, I think, for me in my own experience, we have really seen a shifting from, I come back to IP and domain, we talk more and more about the influence and the importance of the domain reputation. Of course, IP is still a factor, but I think today, which is completely different to what has been done before, is the reputation and the build-up from trust on a domain level. Either it's the main domain or it is a subdomain. So that's my own learning. I guess it's the same in your filter setting that you look at the domains.
We take in account both of them,
Yeah.
the domain and the subdomain. So if one of them has a bad reputation, it will have an impact on the deliverability of the email sent.
Yeah, it makes completely sense. Oh, thank you. Maike, thank you. Okay, so let's focus a little bit more on the role of the technical configuration. So that means the sending infrastructure and also email authentication. So we know that here in, I guess, in the webinar, most of us, this authentication and email infrastructure setup is not something unknown. But still, I think there are some details to take into consideration to make sure everything is set up and running smoothly during warm-up, to be sure you get this first really good impression when you start sending.
Yeah. As Sandra said, you all probably know the ins and outs of email authentication, so I won't bore you with sticky details. But here are a few quick tips. And first, regarding the SPF, Standard Policy Framework. As Microsoft recently advised, they say to keep your SPF record type to by listing only the IPs you actually use. Please avoid includes with thousands of IPs. There is a recent study from the country, the Berlin Technical University.
Yes, exactly.
It says that nearly 35% of domains SPF records emit over 100,000 IP addresses to send email on the internet.
Wow.
Yeah, it's totally insane. So it's making it easier for cyber criminals to spoof your emails from those domains.
That is massive, I guess. It's just unbelievable massive. So I couldn't even believe people just do this, but it happens. It seems it happens.
And if we talk about Decamps, go for 2048-bit Decamps keys. Try to swap them every 6 months, 12 months. Okay, it's a good practice for better security. And of course, check your DMARC reports. I saw so many senders. They implement DMARCs. They use the right policy, etc. But they don't check the reports. It's really important to check that. Because we can spot any issues in the authentications and even phishing attempts, etc. So as we speak about warm-up, I think that when we start the warm-up, the policy none for the first sending is fine, because I have to check that my authentication is well done, and then move quickly to at least quarantine or reject.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just not starting with quarantine or reject. Just be sure that everything is set up correctly, and just test it before you hit the send button with your first campaign for warm-up. It can always happen that something in really tiny detail goes wrong, but it will have huge impact on everything which comes after this. Maike, we can move on. So of course we know SPF, Decamps, and DMARC are kind of the basics, but we also know, and we talked about this a little bit from your side of Stéphane, mailbox provider and filter, they all look also on many other factors. So are there any other things senders should consider implementing just to make sure they have the most trustworthy setup in place to be seen as a good guy? Laurent, I think.
Yeah, okay. So that's three. I think about some tricky details. First, I think the reverse DNS, it ensures that your IP resolves to a domain you control. Okay. It's really trust signal for mailbox providers, confirming that your IP is hiding behind a generic or suspicious address. TLS, for transport layer security, secures email transmission between your sending server and the recipient server, mail server. Email is especially has been a strong advocate for TLA since 2014, I think. Yeah. So just earlier, dedicated APs. Using a dedicated AP gives you full control over your sender reputation. Unlike a shared IP, where other senders' action can impact you. And during warm-up, this isolation is critical to avoid inheriting someone else's bad reputation. And if you are scaling, choose adjacent IPs, later, to maintain consistency in your reputation profile. You can use also monitoring tools, okay? Like Google Postmaster tools, the old Microsoft SNDS, and some other tool by Hornetsecurity to track not your performance, but to open support ticket.
Yeah, and to have a list of best practice you need to respect before to contact us. And I had this point, prefer adjacent IPs. As we already said, you need to use a few IPs as possible, and in general, as a few elements as possible. The range of the IP is an element. So if your IPs are on different ranges, there will be more variation. So making for a more complicated warm-up. Also, multiplying the number of different ranges increases the risk to be considered as a snowshoe campaign. And also, I come back on this point because it's really important. It's almost obvious today, but remember that it's better to use dedicated IP. The really exceptional cases where it's not possible are when violence are really low, and not regular also. Otherwise, there is absolutely no point in taking the risk of losing reputation because of the reputation of other senders using the same IP as you.
Yeah, that makes sense. And especially if something goes wrong, we have the case sometimes that we get the answer or the question, so please help us. Is it like you cannot do anything on trying to troubleshoot the situation because simply the impact of the other senders on the same IPs will impact you no matter what you do. I mean, you can be a good guy. If others do a little bit less good things, then it will get on you, no matter what you do.
And sometimes it's happened. We receive requests to delete an IP, a shared one, and we have 10 times more bad senders than good one, and we cannot delete an IP because there is one legit sender on it. You know?
Yeah, so. Yeah, that's something we know. I think ESPs tend to try to make their job putting up together by quality, but it still can happen because, as we said, you have no control over what the other guys do, and no matter how good you are, it will impact you. If you're less good, you will benefit of the good guys on your IP, of course. So
from my point of view, sometimes a legit sender is used like an excuse by to request a delisting for the bad
that's
ones.
interesting.
Yeah.
So
it's my point of view.
Interesting. Michael, please, next one. So we talked a lot already about building the trust and building this relationship and positive reputation with mailbox providers and filters as a sender. But there was one important point too, the actual recipient. So that's also something we need to address. And I would like to ask you, Laurent, what kind of BIMI, how can BIMI help senders to build additional trust with recipients? What is your experience?
Good question.
Thank you.
They're really pros and cons about BIMI. And to be clear, BIMI doesn't have a direct impact the technical process of farming up an IPO. But it can provide, I think, indirect benefits that support a warming process. First, BIMI requires a strong DMARC policy, either the policy on quarantine or reject. This strict DMARC setup signals to mailbox providers like Gmail, Yahoo, and Apple that you are serious about email security, which aligns with their trust building criteria during runoff. So BIMI useful for boosting user engagement. Many studies show that displaying a familiar brand logo can increase open rates by 10 to 21% and encourage clicks, as recipients are more confident or likely to trust and interact with a visual brand. And we know that higher engagement, more opens, more clicks and replies sends positive signals to the mailbox providers. So I think if you can put a BIMI record, it's a good thing. But I know, BIMI be expensive, even if the verified mail certificate is not really compulsory. You can do without, especially for Yahoo, I think, and even Lab.net in France. But it's compulsory indeed for Gmail or Apple. So it's expensive. It's not always easy to obtain the verified mail certificate. So I don't think, again, implementing BIMI would directly speed up your warm-up, but it can change how mailbox providers evaluate your sending volumes.
Yeah, but I think you are absolutely right. It builds trust with the recipients, which will only, I think it can only positively impact the signals you send also to mailbox provider or receiver with the engagement. If the recipients trust you, then they click, they read, they maybe forward, they interact with the messages, which has impact, we notice, on reputation building, especially during the warm-up. Stéphane, I have a question for you. So are there any other possibilities to earn the trust from the recipients?
Yeah, it's not linked really with BIMI, but the choice of the domain is important. Whenever possible, it is better to opt for a subdomain of the main domain. It will already have a reputation, and it's also a proof, both for filters and for recipients, of the link between the senders and the website in question. Buying a new domain, on the other hand, is more complicated because it cannot be reliably linked to any existing positive history. For example, email.yourbank.com. We know that this subdomain was normally created by someone connected with yourbank.com, whereas email-yourbank.com, anyone could have created it for phishing attacks, so it's suspicious. It's more suspicious.
Yeah, I completely agree. That is very suspicious. So, so just think about what you are going to do before you move from settings, and if it's
if you can subdomain, it's better.
A new
domain.
Okay, Michael, just let's move on, please. So one topic very close to my heart is, as a former consultant, and my own experience, is the kind of preparation and planning part. So I often really struggle with brands to get them to understand that actually this phase, the planning, the analysis of the situation, and the preparation is the most important part of successful warm-up, just to be aligned with what you want and what you want in the future and what is also technically possible. Laurent, I also know from your experience over the years that you have done in your role many different migrations and warm-ups for all kind of clients, the big ones, the smaller ones, the international ones, the local French ones. So I would like to get your experience on how should it be done and what should be not done.
Yeah, indeed, you're right. Planning is where warm-up success begins. Or you hit the same button. You need to consider several factors. First, the timing. You have to ensure that you have enough time. A warming process is quite long, typically between 4 and 8 weeks for a gradual warm-up. Maybe it's easier. Sorry, when you are moving from one email routing provider to another. If you are in good terms with your previous ESP, you can take time to slowly migrate volumes to the new one. You need to take into account the future needs too, and plan for the number of IPs, domains, or subdomains you will need as you scale. Regarding the content and the audience, you need to choose engaging content, okay? Because you want some reactions, okay? So active subscribers to maximize positive interaction is crucial. Of course, this quality, maybe the most important, you have to verify your list are clean and compliant to avoid bounces or complaints. And regarding the warm-up schedule, you must tailor it to your setup. Small businesses might start slower than large ones. Because these are business requirements behind. And also you have to use monitoring tools, like as we said earlier, the DMARC reports or the Postmaster tool to track your progress, monitor your reputation. So preparation is not optional, it's a foundation for everything that follows. What can I say else?
So I can just add from personal experience, and I guess you agree that possibly starting a warm-up or thinking about migrating at the end of the year for the Black Friday holiday season isn't a very smart move, because mailbox providers are overloaded with volume, and so you might be impacted from other factors which are out of your control. So really make sure, if business allows, of course, I know there are always sometimes circumstances where you cannot choose, but the planning, when is the best time, and having enough time also is really important. Just not rushing it and just say, oh, I have to move in 2 weeks because then my contract is over from one ESP and I need to start. So yeah, it needs to be prepared long in advance, as long as you can. And the planning sometimes takes longer than you think. And it's also teamwork. If there was a brand involved and an ESP, so you have to get involved, everyone on the table, and make sure also the technical configuration is prepared. And you have content. I come back to this. If I had cases we want to warm up to this kind of volume, but we don't have any content, or we only have one campaign per week or per month. So no, it's not going to work. So you have to make sure that everything is thought about and prepared. Otherwise, you will get into trouble very quickly. And once you hit the send button, to adjust and to change what you plan isn't always so easy. It is really much better, in my experience, to take more time for the planning, the preparation, and analysis also quality, list quality. I'll come back to this. You have to be able to segment on the quality and be able to start with the most engaged users, just for, I come back to trust building and getting this really good first impression on the mailbox provider side. So if you start with a dorming list, which has been in your office somewhere, it won't go the way you think it will. Or if you want to have success, then you have to prepare. And it's really absolutely not optional it is the most important part of the probation and to be able to have success and not getting into trouble as soon as you hit the send button. I completely agree with you. Okay, Micah, please go on. Thank you. So very, very nice question. I think you have all had already also the request from a client, can you please call Gmail, or is there a magical solution to succeed and to get warm up in a very short time, hitting the inbox, having no trouble at all? Laurent?
Yeah,
The case.
there is no one size fits all formula. Sorry. The success relies on real-time monitoring and quick adaptation to feedback from mailbox providers. The warm-up process is dynamic because every mailbox provider like Gmail, Microsoft, Yahoo, or smaller regional providers has unique results for volume, reputation, and filtering behavior. A plan that works perfectly, for example, Gmail, might trigger throttling on Outlook. So you need to stay vigilant and flexible. Here's what you should be monitored on how to adapt based on the data you collect. So what to monitor first, the SMTP logs is the gold mine. It's your first line of defense. SMTP logs provide detailed insights into delivery status, including whether emails were accepted, bounced, or hit transient errors. This is just after transient errors to transient errors to watch. The engagement metric, okay, again, user interactions are a huge part of your Sunday reputation. Remember. So you have to monitor the open rates. For instance, if open rates are below than 10 or 15% for a specific segment, it could indicate an engaging content or a stay list. A welcome email to new subscribers might see 20 to 30% opens, while a promotional email to an older list may dip lower. Okay? You have to watch after the CTR, what we call the click-through rate. Low clicks under 2% suggest your content is not resonating on your audience. Audience is not targeting enough. You have to check the replies too, because we can reply to an email. So it's for communication. Sometimes many senders still use no reply, do not reply. It's a big mistake. You have to check the replies to learn about that. And positive replies signal trust to providers. So yeah, the contrary, the spam complaints can tank your reputation. I think the most important thing to be under the 0.1%, as you may say, actually. Yeah, what else to monitor? But you have to adapt, in fact, by monitoring. I said, monitoring is only the half of the battle. You need to act on the data.
Yeah.
And for example, again, if our bounces exceed 5%, you have to pause sending to that segment and clean your list. We talked just earlier, spam complaints have to stay below 0.1%. In case of low engagement, if I am under 10% of open rate, maybe I have to test new subject lines, personalized content, or segment your list by level of engagement. Adaptability.
Yeah, so I would just preparation and listening to what happened, and then of course just adapt. I completely agree. Just you touched on this already a little bit on the feedback. Maike, can you please move to the next slide? Thank you. Mailbox providers and filters are actually quite nice. They don't let senders in the dark. They give some kind of feedback. I agree it's not always the way we would like to have it, but there is feedback, and we are talking about the bounce messages, so soft bounce and sometimes hard bounces. So it is also some kind of test sometimes, because they will reach out saying, hey, we are not agreeing with what you're doing, and then they will look how you respond. You agree, I think, on this one? Yes. So Laurent, what is your experience with how to read and how to react to them? And then also, Stéphane, I would like to ask you afterwards, what happens when sender ignore the signals you are sending out, or the mailbox providers?
So again, sorry for the techie details. But what we call transient errors are a critical topic because they are often the first sign that something is going wrong during the process. And these errors, known as the 4XX codes, indicate temporary delivery failure. Okay? And in the content of warm-up, there is a clear signal that your new infrastructure has hit a limit, or that something in that one isn't quite right with your setup. So you have to act quickly. It's essential to keep your warm-up on track. So let's break down the key transient errors. The most common is 421 code. It means service unavailable. And this typically means the receiving server is floating very much. So it's a sign you are sending too much, too fast for the provider's control. The 450 code, mailbox, busy, or gray listed. This error often indicates gray listing, and where the provider temporarily delays your emails to verify your legitimacy. It's common with new IPs, especially with providers like Yahoo. The 451 code, so it's related to server policy issue. So it points to a server-side issue or policy violation. Thus, when you send too frequently or triggering a provider's rate limit. So it's a strong indicator that your warm-up pace is exceeding what the provider will tolerate at this precise stage. The 452 means too many recipients. So this means you send again too many recipients at once. So you are overwhelming the provider server. So it's a clear sign that you have pushed past your new infrastructure's current routing capacity. Again, the 429 rate limited. So it explicitly indicates that you have it again a rate limit, and often because your sending volume or frequency is too high for a new IP domain. Okay? For instance, for Microsoft, might issue 429 code if you are sending more than 2,000 emails per hour, when your reputation only supports 500, for instance.
Just in terms of timekeeping, I just said, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
What is your take on this? Yes.
I just want to add that it's a bit obvious, but ignoring this message provided to help senders who want to work well doesn't send a good message to the MVPs. On the contrary, it shows that the senders don't care about the quality of its sendings. And sending a message, it's not a one-way street. You have to listen to what is said back and take it in account.
Yeah, I completely agree on this one. So just let's talk about a little bit about the warm-up in practice. So just, Maike, can you move on to the next slide? So we know that part of the preparation is building a warm-up plan together just to ramp up the volume. And achieving the trust building and the positive reputation. So is there any, again, common approach, or what, Laurent, what are you doing? I think I know the answer, but maybe you would share your take on this. What would you do?
You know, putting an IP and domain roundup into practice requires, we say, patience and consistency. Okay. I put an example on this slide, but let me be clear. It's just an example. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we said before there is no magic formula. You need to adjust this example to on real-time data from a specific setup. Okay, this quality and feedback from network providers. So, for instance, we have the first week between 100 and 500 emails per day to your most engaged people. It's important. So that I think users will open and click the last 30 days. That's the most reactive. At week 2, and if your bounces rate stay below 5%, as we said earlier, and spam complaints below 0.1%, you can double your volume. Okay, go to 200 to 1,000 emails per day, but you have to continue targeting engaged people and monitor engagement metrics closely, very closely. And at the end, between weeks 4 and 8, you gradually scale up. Okay, aiming for 10,000 emails per day by week 8. Okay? Each week, increase volume by 50 to 100%. Again, only if bounces remain low and complaints are minimal.
Yeah.
And engagement is strong, pretty strong. When I say strong, it's between at least 20% of open rate. Even if you know the open rates today is a bit false, especially with Apple or Gmail sometimes. So you really have to watch open rates on maybe some regional ISP. It could be a good indicator.
Yeah, I mean, also, I mean, we just stayed 4 to 8 weeks, but you have to be aware, I guess, that even if you plan to having it in 8 weeks, it can take 10 weeks or 12 weeks.
Sure.
So depending on the signals you get back from the mailbox provider, it's just yeah, again, you need to take care about the worst situation where you need more time. So cutting off a contract with an ESP and not having enough time is the worst situation, because then you have to rush, and it's not going well. So Stéphane, I know also we talked about this before. What is your kind of advice of doing it right?
Yeah, take care about the speed of the sendings. You know, we have some behavior variation mechanisms that are built based on the last minute sends compared to the average of last previous day sendings. And this kind of mechanisms is also been for protect the senders regarding some compromised account, for example, that will send a lot of emails suddenly. So take care about the speed, and but globally, don't go to step 2 on your plan if step 1 didn't show green light results everywhere. So the plan is something that must evolve regarding the results you have.
I agree. So never, I mean, you have to monitor and then just adapt. And if you see there was nothing showing that you have success, then better being on the safe side. Go back, get some low volume, see how it goes. Just focus on more engaged users again and try and see how it goes then. Because, I mean, if it's going too far, the reputation will get damaged and it will be more complicated. The far you go with the more volume number, the more complicated it gets. So it is really comes back to monitor and also to adapt. Mike, I would like you to move to the next slide. So let's talk international. We know that things are done differently on the planet, and what works here doesn't work well in other regions of the planet. And every mailbox provider or filter has their own rules, their own way of giving feedback, and how fast you can get into them or not. So Laurent, again, what is your experience in warming up global senders. That means they don't only, for example, send to a specific region in Europe. We all know that, of course, we have Gmail now, Microsoft and Yahoo anyway. So
there is no universal standard, for sender reputation. Okay? Each provider, from Gmail to regional ISPs, has its own volume thresholds, speed tolerances, and filter settings. So mailbox providers evaluate new IPs and domains on their unique criteria, shared by their user base, anti-spam policies, and regional regulations. So, nothing is universal when you talk about reputation. You have to adapt again.
Yeah, I know, and I think it's a kind of experience and learning from doing things wrong and what works and what doesn't work. So you just play around with the numbers and see how it works at Gmail or at Yahoo and Microsoft. So, and that comes to my question first. Stéphane, is there any good way, or what should be done if for troubleshooting? Is there any way to get into? You talked about communication in a two-way discussion. So, is there any way to address any problem with a filter or?
Yeah, but I don't think the warm-up is unnecessary and not really useful, because by default we are going to trust our mechanism anyway. And the other hand, yes, you do need to contact us if a problem appears to be recursive. Sometimes there is some things we can do on our side to prevent that being triggered from triggering itself every time you reach a certain volume. So yes, it's important to contact us if you have a recursive problem.
Yeah, and I guess,
but not to prevent.
No, I get this. There are other mailbox for like Microsoft. We can do this via tickets, and so you can prevent them. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't help. But I guess also it's important to know that I really would encourage you doing the homework senders doing the homework first, and don't estimate that or think that just telling them, hey, I have a problem, that they fix it. No, they will just ask you questions, or you will ask them questions, and then, but you have to make sure that you address or you identify the actual problem. Just don't think that just sending an email, hey, just unblock me, will help the situation.
And it's important also to check the postmaster page for MVPs, to well read the best practice we share on our tool, and also to respect them before to contact us, because if we have shared best practice and we think that the requester doesn't respect them, it's not.
No, I know. So if you have 1 minute left, I just want to, you have to hurry up. Just, Mikey, can you please just move to the next slide? So just about we already touched a lot on these things. You have to be aware that I think even small mistakes can have huge impact, because the relationship you build up is so new and there is no history most of the time. So I think that's the important thing. So, but what are the most damaging mistakes a sender can do? And other question, what can you do when the trust has been broken, so something goes wrong, to fix it afterwards?
I start? No?
Just keep in mind that
the main thing I want to say is don't stop sending emails when you have a problem, because there is a slight flow that is accepted, or sometimes it's a temporary situation, and between two temporary situations there is a small flow that can help you to show to the filters or other MVPs that your email is not so bad, so to help to boost your reputation. But to do this, you need to reduce volumes a little by increasing the quality of your targets.
Yeah, makes sense. No.
I think we have some things to avoid, but I want to just reply to the question: can trust be rebuilt once broken? The short answer is yes. Trust can be rebuilt with mailbox providers, but it takes time.
Yes.
Effort and a strategic approach. If your Sandra reputation takes a hit due to high spam complaints, blacklisting or excessive bounces, it's not the end of the road. However, rebuilding trust is slower and more challenging than building it correctly from the start. But prevention is always better. So the good approach is to identify the root cause. So use monitoring tools to pinpoint what went wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, from honest experience, it happens, and even the good ones make mistakes. So, but it takes time really to rebuild a broken reputation, and it is absolutely not fixed the day after or the week after. It can take months. So we are on top of the hour. For those, we have some more minutes to answer some more questions. I will skip one slide, Maike, because it's just the key takeaways. We already talked about it, so I think we all know the preparation is key, and then monitor, get the data, and then just adapt on what are you seeing in the feedback you get from the other side. I would like to just answer some questions we get here, and we got a lot of them. So for those who can stay, we have some more minutes. Then I think Michael will cut us off. So here's one. What's the most common mistake you see in warm-ups?
From my point of view, the most common mistake I've seen is too high violence right from the start. And that's because senders don't think that this violence per MBPs can be aggregated by the same filters. You know, we have a lot of MBPs as clients, and we aggregate everything.
Yeah. So that makes it much higher volume coming in that maybe the standard things, because you're just focusing on one mailbox provider telling, okay, I do 1,000, whatever, but basically what you are coming in is thousands from all the mailbox providers you are supporting. So it is a much higher volume. So yeah, that makes completely sense.
Yeah, so too much too soon. The most
too much too soon.
It's a common error because of business requirements.
Yeah.
So especially when we start from scratch and not from a previous ESP, we said before, business. So we can do more, please, and then with the rule, and you have to restore.
I know. I can only agree with this. Patience, please, patience. So, and that is very, very complicated to cross across for business needs, of course, from the sender side. So, one other very interesting question I see here is, will help changing IPs or domains or an ESP help a sender getting better performances and address already existing quality problems? Interesting one.
Yeah, if you're having problems, it's usually related to your practices. So changing IP and domains doesn't change anything. It can only annoy MBPs and filters.
Yeah.
And changing ESP is only useful if the new one can help you to correct your deficiencies in your practices. Otherwise, there is no point.
I agree. So if you have trouble before, don't expect that the trouble is going away, just moving from one infrastructure or ESP to another one. I think we all agree on this, but still common knowledge.
That's what we call the smoshering.
Yes. Yeah, I guess.
At the beginning, we talk about AI.
Yes.
And talk about domain and IP were the main markets today. Interpretation, but I think that AI, as many other fields today, will impact the email industry because it will permit to mailbox provider to identify sender above the IP, above the domain. They can identify brand. Okay, so you have to manage your brand reputation.
Yeah.
I think the future is here. And maybe in 2 or 3 years, IP or domain reputation will no longer be so important. It will be your brand reputation.
Yeah, that makes completely sense. And AI will play a bigger role more and more in just detecting anomalies and making the shift from current situation to the future situation to be more specific about filtering out the bad guys and the good guys. So one more question, Mike, and then we are shutting up. I promise. We have so many. What's your take on professional warm-up services from an external company? So I guess that means we are not talking about ESPs, but we are talking, there are some services, they promise you everything. They warm up IPs or they warm up for you. So
yeah, the problem can arise when a service provider warm up an IP on an email flow that it's not yours. As we saw earlier, we extract everything that we can from an email. We create a combo like the from domain with the IP range, and we calculate a reputation on it, which can really help you if it's good. And in the case of an external warm-up IP, it won't be able to associate the IP with the domain. Also, if it's pre-added with your emails, with your mailing, you need to be careful that the total numbers of IP used remains reasonable given the volume. Otherwise, anti-snowshoe mechanisms may find it suspicious also.
That makes sense. So, Mike, I think we get into trouble with you if we don't stop here. I'm sorry, we have so many questions. We might do a follow-up webinar on just answering them. So thank you again for joining us and for being with us. We hope it was useful and you get something out. We will go through the questions and see what we can do. You will get the recording. It will be sent out afterwards. For the moment, we just can say merci. Thank you. Dankeschön.
Dankeschön.
And see you on the next webinar.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Stéphane, Laurent, and Sandra, for your time today.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.